My name is Göktuğ Ünder, and I'm the Product Development and the Quality Assurance Director for Aydınlı Group from Turkey. First of all, I would like to thank MarketKey for this wonderful organization. Obviously, it will be a very fruitful 2 days. And it's been quite an experience for us since we started PLM deployment back in January 2013. Today, myself and Mr. Hakan will try to share this experience with yourselves. But before we start, I would like to show you a few slides to make you familiar with our company. So who we are? We are a Turkish company, the licensee of these 3 fashion retail brands. They are US Polo, Pierre Cardin, and Cacharel. We cover all genders within our brands. US Polo is a casual wear brand for men's, ladies, and kids wear, and it's targeting mid to high customer range. Pierre Cardin and Cacharel, on the other hand, are both smart and classic wear for men's, targeting higher and luxury customer segments. It all started back in 1960s with a retail store named Aydınlı. Then in 1980s, we started manufacturing. In 1990s, we became master licensee of Pierre Cardin, Cacharel, and US Polo. It started with 22 stores, and we ended the decade with 200. In 2010s, we reached 400 monobrand stores with all these 3 brands. And today, we are licensed in 50 countries. We have 89,000 square meters sales area, 3,500 employees, and the $350 million US turnover. This is a map of our stores around the globe. As you can see, we have 87 stores in Russia, 23 in Eastern Europe, 245 in Turkey, 37 in Middle East, and 8 stores in Africa. Just to give you a sense of what our products are looking like, this is US Polo window, US Polo in store, Pierre Cardin window, Pierre Cardin in store, and finally Cacharel window and Cacharel in store. As I mentioned earlier, we are also a production facility. We have 520 people working in our factory, and we produce high quality men's suits and shirts for our own brands. Over the next few slides, I will try to explain why we needed the PLM. We needed the PLM because we always wanted to access the most accurate and the most updated information from one source. We did not want several versions of emails flying all over because, as you all know well, not knowing whether the one in your hand is the most updated version, it brings high risk for development and production. We needed standardized ID codes and the tech packs because although we already had other software used and we have implemented SAP about 1 year earlier than PLM, we still had various ID references and tech pack formats used. Here are a few examples of our previous tech packs. This is an example of US Polo. It's not very professional, I'm afraid. Now it's much better. All the information is handwritten on it, including the headers. And the ID references, when you look into the details, are not actually the same as a Pierre Cardin or a Cacharel. And the next one is a spec tech pack. Again, not very professional, I'm afraid. with some charts and plain writings on, a size chart, a how to measure, little photos, and plain writings for comments. We needed PLM to follow the actual product development stages within the timeline, and we needed to do this to avoid delays, because the managers were not able to control the design and development timeline. And usually when there's a delay, it was too late to recover. And we wanted to make sure changes on design and materials are notified to relevant team members, because we could not communicate them efficiently. And this caused contradictions. For example, a fabric changes to a stretch fabric, but the size chart remains for a rigid fabric. We wanted to have a tidy color fabric and trims library. We didn't have one. Each department used to write them manually on their tech packs, but not in a standard way. Also, it was highly possible that the given details had missing information. We needed integration with SAP from design to production, because putting together the bill of material is the responsibility of the designers. And if we can get this right first time, why can't we use it to feed the SAP with the same information? Over the next few slides, I will try to present you who we chose as a partner and the project timeline. We have chosen VisualPLM.net, which is a Canadian-based company, and their experienced representatives in Turkey. They are called MyYazılım. And the reasons of our preferences were MyYazılım's local deployment experience. We were offered flexibility on screen designs, flexibility on ERP integration, good after service, and surely competitive price. And this was the calendar for us. We started back in January 2013. The tests started in June 2013. Phase 1 became live in October 2013. And finally, nowadays, just the trainings back in our countries carrying on, we are becoming live on phase 2. Just few slides to show you the current PLM screens and the new tech packs. This is the actual PLM interface now. It carries all the necessary information. Nothing is missing. The designer has to put all that information, otherwise he or she cannot save it. And this is the new tech pack with a header and footer, all within the same format over the 3 brands, a front page, a second page for the rest of the visuals, bill of material for the fabric information, colorway details, bill of material for the trims and accessories, an artwork, care instructions, a size chart, how to measure, and finally, making details. All neat and tidy. Any person who takes the tech pack in hand and surely familiar with our designs can easily find which information is at what page, so that reduces the risk in making a wrong production. We also managed to get a report, a weekly report, an automatically generated one, thanks to the IT for that. Now the managers can easily see at what stage the development is. Having this report, for example, a denim buyer group having 17 option plans, and the area that the buyers need to fill in and the designers need to fill in, the area that the technical people needs to fill in, and I'm afraid I cannot show you the rest, but the percentages that a manager can know at what stage that particular development stage is. Now we have a neat and tidy color library with all necessary references put on, and the designer can now select from a big list of TPX or TCX Pantone book. This is an old tech pack. As you can see, the fabric information was very little, not in full details, so a production person could not really pick up what it really is. But now, when defining a fabric to PLM, all these boxes need to be filled in, and this includes construction, composition, and the finish, yarn counts, the weight, everything that a production person would easily carry on after getting the tech pack. And this is the same for a trims library, including the photos. So a designer can easily and simply, if he knows the reference or if he's familiar with the photo, he can easily select the right material to use on his or her designs. As I said earlier, we are just becoming live on phase 2, and phase 2 for us was to have the workflow and the critical path running. To explain you the workflow, this is our interaction in between our teams. The designer starts it all with the garment tech, the buyer, and the fabric tech. They prepare a tech pack together. They hand it over to the sourcing teams, and the sourcing teams hands it over to the supplier. After having phase 2 becoming alive, I mean the workflow and the critical path, we can now have technical and fit meeting demands and appointments through workflow. We can have buying to sourcing file handover demands and acceptances through the workflow. We can have notification of demands and acceptances through PLM. Changes to bill of material are now notified to sourcing and the technical teams. And file maturity status is automatically updated via the workflow, which means when somebody takes the file into his hand, he can easily realize whether it's just a initial design tech pack or it's now a mature production tech pack. So this gives us the opportunity to manage the KPIs from there, to get status reports, to get statistics of the reject reasons, so we can find out our areas that needs healing, and tech pack status safety, and awareness to changes, which when they come together, it's a better control and management. About the software integration, we start with an internal planning support system This software is written by our IT teams. It plans the buying budget and feeds the information to SAP. That's when PLM comes into the game, and PLM feeds the design data to SAP. Then the CPS, the critical path management tool for us, comes into the game, and it feeds the workflow. Actually, it's fed from the PLM in terms of the workflow, and it communicates with SAP in regards to getting the purchase order. I will invite my colleague, Mr. Hakan, for the rest few slides. He will give a more detailed information about the integration.
Hello, everyone. I'm very pleased to be here together with you. Just a second. This slide represents ERP and PLM. PLM is a completely different solution from ERP, especially for retailers, for apparel retailers. It should be a very, very customized solution for our requirements. It is very important. ERP and PLM supports different business needs. These are very familiar to you. PLM allows you to record bill of material and product definitions during the development process. On the other hand, ERP allows you to define and making inventory transactions, financial transactions, order transactions. I want to mention benefits of ERP and PLM integration to you. One of these is unique, always and synchronized and reliable information. It is the main problem for us. Without integration, it is very hard to have unique, always and synchronized and reliable information. With an integration, it is very, very easy for us. Without integration, you need to define all product definition and bill of materials. You need to define manually. It is very, very complex, and you may encounter a lot of problems, and you have unreliable data and unsynchronized data. The other one, no more manual operation delays or human mistakes. Without integration, you may encounter these problems. The other one, company-wide collaboration within product development process. Without integration and without PLM, it was very hard for purchasing department. It was very hard to forecast the requirements of bill of materials for a product. Because during the development process, we don't have any definition on the system. The designers are creating their design on Excel sheet. With these Excel sheet, the purchasing department, they don't know anything about the requirements. End of process, the designers and the buyers are defining the definitions on the system, SAP system, and then after this, the purchasing department are notified by the requirements. Change management from designing to procurement and production. It is very, very important for retailers, apparel retailers. Within product and development process, designers can change the bill of material. For example, they can change the fabric, they can change the trim. It is very important to be notified by the system to users. The product definitions, work orders, and bill of materials should be modified as much as same as at PLM and as much as soon as possible. With an integration, it can be made automatically at ERP site. These are challenges, integration challenges. Exchange of bill of material information is a top priority for most PLM and ERP integrations. You should analyze all scenarios to integrate PLM and ERP. We are using SAP. It may be very hard to analyze. It is very important. The other one, technical issues require planning and expertise. You need to make an integration. You need extremely experienced specialists, developers. If they have enough experience about integrations, you can integrate your PLM and ERP solution perfectly and without problem, maybe with minimum problem. The other one, don't pollute ERP with experimental information that may never be used again. You don't make an effort for data, unnecessary data for ERP. Keep these data in PLM. In PLM, we are a lot of fields related with development processes, and keep these fields in PLM, not in ERP. At the ERP side, you need important fields for ERP, not the other ones. Avoid excessive ERP overhead in the development process. Complex integration models can increase the overhead. Keep it simple as much as possible. Integration overhead can be expensive in terms of cost and resources. You need extremely experienced developers and teams. The cost of resources and activities related with integration can be exceed the budget, can be expensive for you. It is very important. I want to mention about reporting and business intelligence side. We have 3 solutions, maybe I can say, SAP and PLM, and the other one is data warehouse architecture. You are getting, just a second. We can get a lot of reports from PLM side, and then during the project, we also generated a lot of customized reports at the PLM side. But in addition to these reports, we noticed that some of users are eager to get reports, get ad hoc reports, and then they are very eager to make drill down analysis on the their own site. To fulfill these requirements, a convenient data warehouse infrastructure was designed by business intelligence teams. All required data are gathered from SAP and from PLM into data warehouse. For example, purchase orders and sales transactions are gathered from SAP. And the other ones, item masters and bill of materials definitions are gathered from PLM into data warehouse. Analysis, deep analysis, drill down analysis, I want to mention. End of the project, data warehouse project and business intelligence project, we will provide a lot of KPIs and a lot of measures to users to make a drill down analysis. How many products did a designer accomplish in a specified season or a week? They can see. What is the sales performance KPI for a specified designer by product groups and season? What is the return rate KPI of the products designed by a specific designer? Analyze the bestseller products by designers or buyers. Keys to integration success. Consider integration during your system selection criteria. It is very important. but don't compromise system capabilities for integration. Understand in detail your vendor's integration capabilities. It is very important. Get evidence of peer relevant integration success story related with your supplier. Look for predefined or pre-configured integrations tools. Maybe you can look at these solutions. Identify opportunities for integration in your business. Avoid integration projects with little tangible value. Plan and document every aspect of the integration project. It is very hard for IT colleagues, IT departments. Clearly identify roles and responsibilities. Engage an experienced project team. I will invite my colleague, Mr. Göktuğ, and he will talking about what's the next of the project. Thank you so much.
Hello again. I know we're running out of time, so I'll try to be quick. What's next for us? Actually, I don't know if he's here, if he's attending, but I name him as a guru of PLM, Mr. Mark Harrop. He is the CEO of whichplm.com. I try to follow him on his writings. He defines the PLM as a journey. And he splits it into 5 phases. Phase 1, having the technical pack, which is a PDM level. Phase 2, having a PLM, which includes the workflow and the critical path. Level 3, in his definition, is an extended PLM, which includes merchandise planning. Level 4 is named as Enterprise PLM, which is now dynamically used throughout the supply chain. And level 5 is Integrated PLM. That's a part of a broader digital technology integration project. I believe up until now, we have completed level 1. By the end of this month, we will complete level 2. And for the next 3 levels, we are at 25%. So our plans for next phase is to use PLM for initial cost calculation because the bill of material is there and the costs of each bill of material is already there, each item is already there, so it's easy to make the cost calculation. We plan to get our planning support system to communicate with PLM so we can have merchandise planning integrated. We want to have PLM opened to our suppliers' access, so we don't necessarily need to email any of the technical packs anymore. They can go in and pull it out themselves. So, to put them together, these are our suggested key points for a successful deployment. We suggest you to identify your expectations from PLM clearly. There are several options in the market, but which one is correct for your needs? Are you only a retailer, or do you also make production? Do you really need all that particular fancy PLM solution suggests? So if you don't need it, why should you pay more? Do you need an out-of-the-box solution, or does it need to be shaped according to your company's needs? We suggest you to set people's expectations correctly, because what's on people's mind may not be the same as what top management expects. It's best to adjust the level of expectations before deployment to avoid some disappointment. We suggest you to gather up a committee to choose the right PLM solution. If you don't do this, they will always think a better choice could have been made, and this will risk the reputation of your deployment. We suggest you to shape things up based on your company limitations, because you might be choosing the most functional, best practice promised, and the most expensive PLM solution. But Will you really be using all those fancy features? Consider how much ready and flexible is your company for this journey. We suggest you to manage the deployment in phases. You can't win the battle if you have too many front lines. And yes, this is a battle, this is a journey. It's best to split and manage. Build up a realistic project calendar. Consider the possible delays and put buffers into your calendar. You may face difficulties in shaping the software to your needs, or maybe shaping yourself to the needs of software. Always consider the data you need to feed other software. And we suggest you to get management support because it will make it easier to convince people to use the software, because for some people it will be an extra workload, so lots of convincing, but sometimes a little dictatorship will be required to use it, which is best to come from management. Keep it simple. Garment retail is already a complex business, and when you face a time for a decision, you better tend to prefer the simpler one. Reposition responsibilities for data entry and balance your workload. And finally, be patient. It's not a short-term project, and it's never just an IT project. It is a change in your company. Several departments, several roles, and several people are involved. So you will need being patient to get things settled down. At the beginning, the objections are heavier than the usefulness of the software, but when you come closer to the end, the usefulness increases and the objections are much smaller. I guess there's no time left for question and answer.
I'm sorry, there isn't. But if you do have any questions, please do see the guys during the breakout session. Thank you so very much. That was really great advice. Thank you.